The heat wave is here, and if you make these mistakes, your lawn will be yellow, patchy, and full of crabgrass by the end of next week. And you'll be standing there with a hose in your hand trying to figure out where it all went wrong, and by then, it's too late. From mowing mistakes and watering wrong to feeding your lawn at the worst possible time, I'm going to walk you through every mistake to avoid and exactly how to do it right, so your lawn stays green, thick, and safe for the pets, kids, and grandkids to run around on all summer long. And make sure you stick around till the end, because the last few mistakes are the ones that take lawns out fastest. Most homeowners are about to pull the lawnmower out of the garage this weekend and cause real damage to their grass without even knowing it. The biggest mistake I run into all the time is people cutting the grass way too short in the summer. A lot of people do this on purpose. They figure if they cut it short now, they can go an extra week before they have to mow again. It sounds like a smart shortcut, but it backfires badly once the heat sets in. When the grass is cut short, the soil is left exposed to direct sunlight. And once that happens, the ground bakes, moisture dries out fast, and the roots underneath start to cook. Think about a stretch of woods for a second. When the trees overhead are full and thick, the ground below stays cool and damp all day long, even in the middle of a heat wave. Cut those trees down and everything below dries out in a matter of hours. Your lawn works the exact same way, and those blades of grass are the shade that protects your soil. They're doing a lot more work down there than most folks give them credit for. Like my granddad said, never cut off more than a third of the grass blade in a single mow. That is the 1/3 rule, and it saves lawns every summer. Now, the right height to cut at is going to depend on what kind of grass you have growing out there. If you have cool season grass, so fescue, bluegrass, or ryegrass, you want to keep it between 3 and 4 inches tall all summer long. Warm season grass is a different story. Bermuda, zoysia, and St. Augustine can be cut a little shorter because those types actually love the heat and do not need as much shade down at the soil. If your grass has already gotten away from you and it is tall, do not try to bring it back down to the right height in one big cut. That is the fastest way to shock the plant right when it can least afford it. Raise your mower up one setting this weekend, cut it once, then wait about 3 days and cut it again a little shorter. 2 easy passes will get the height back where you want it without stressing the grass out. The other thing that wrecks lawns this time of year is mowing at the wrong time of day. So many folks fire up the mower at 2 in the afternoon in 95-degree heat because that is the first chance they get after coming home from work. The problem is that you are piling one kind of stress right on top of another. The lawn is already fighting to survive the heat, and now the weight of the mower rolls over it and leaves rut marks and burn streaks all across the top. It shows up a day or two later as ugly brown lines running through the yard, and most people cannot figure out where they came from. To avoid this, you should try your best to get your mowing done early in the morning, once the dew has dried off the grass, or wait until the evening when the sun is off the lawn. If the temperature is over 90 degrees, just skip mowing that day and wait for cooler weather. And I do not care if the neighbors give you a funny look for cranking up the mower at 7 in the morning. Your lawn is the one you are trying to keep happy, not the guy across the street. While you've got the mower out, take a look at the blade. A dull one rips and tears the grass instead of slicing it clean. This causes moisture to leak out, then fungal spores march right in, and a day or two later, you will see a whitish sheen across the whole lawn. That sheen is the tips of your grass drying out and dying. Sharpen your blade twice a season, once in spring and once around midsummer. If you clipped a rock or hit a sprinkler head, sharpen it sooner. And don't forget about the importance of your grass clippings. So many people bag every single blade and haul it out to the curb, then turn right around and buy fertilizer to replace the nitrogen they just threw in the trash. Stop bagging and leave those clippings right there on the lawn. They're mostly water, but they're also packed with nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the same 3 things you're paying for in a bag of fertilizer. Leave them down all summer, and you can cut your fertilizer bill by about 1/4. They also act like a light mulch that holds moisture in the soil during the hot weeks. I hear the old myth about this all the time. People tell me clippings cause thatch. They do not. Thatch comes from roots and stems, and clippings break down in about a week in a healthy lawn. The only time to bag is if you have got a fungal disease you are trying to keep from spreading, or if the grass got so tall that the clippings are coming out in wet clumps that smother the lawn underneath. Get your mowing right, and you have already fixed 1/3 of the summer damage most yards suffer. Now, before we get into watering, I get it. This stuff adds up fast, and most folks I talk to about their lawn are just done. Done with spending money on fertilizer that doesn't work. Done watching the same weeds come back every spring. If that's you, this book I wrote is the plan you've been missing. It's built around your specific lawn type, telling you exactly what to buy and when to put it down. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get your copy. It's at fixyourlawnin30days.com. In just 30 days, you can have the yard you've always wanted. Now, watering is the one everybody thinks they've got figured out, and 9 out of 10 people are getting it wrong somewhere. Start with the timing. If you're pulling into the driveway at lunch and the grass looks a little sad, and you flip the sprinklers on right there, you're basically lighting money on fire. Something like 1/3 of that water evaporates before it even touches the dirt, so you're paying the water bill for a cloud. What you want is early, somewhere between 4 and 9 in the morning, before the sun's really up or just as it's coming over the horizon. The water has time to sink in, and then the sun comes up and dries the blades off before anything nasty can grow on them. Some folks go the other direction and set the timer for 10 at night, figuring the cool air will help it soak in. Honestly, that's worse than watering at noon. Now you've got wet grass sitting in the dark for 10, 12 hours, and that is exactly what fungus has been waiting for all summer. Brown patch, dollar spot, pythium, rust. They all love a wet lawn after dark, and in July heat, they move fast. You wake up the next morning to little brown circles the size of a silver dollar all over the yard, and you're standing there blaming the weather when really it was your timer. Then there's the shallow watering habit, and this is the big one. This is probably the most common mistake I see. Every neighborhood, every summer. 10 minutes on the sprinklers every morning to keep things looking green. Problem is, roots only grow down as far as the water goes. Water an inch a day, the roots stay in the top inch of soil, and then one hot weekend hits, that top inch bakes dry, and the whole lawn's gone in 2 days. Water deep and less often, and the roots chase the moisture down 4, 5, 6 inches. A lawn with roots that deep will shrug off heat that flat out kills a shallow-rooted one. You're aiming for about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water a week, and that counts whatever the sky gave you. Split it into 2 or 3 sessions, not 7. Here's something you can actually try this weekend. Grab 4 or 5 empty tuna cans and scatter them around the lawn while a zone is running. Let it go for 15 minutes, then measure how much water landed in each can. If you got 1/4 inch in 15 minutes, you know an hour of runtime gives you a full inch, right where you want to be for one deep watering session. That one test tells you 2 things: whether your sprinklers are hitting the whole yard evenly, and how long you actually need to run each zone to get that inch down. Most people land somewhere between half an hour and 1.5 hours per zone, and they're always surprised. Last one is the panic move. Grass starts looking rough, so people crank the timer way up thinking more water has to fix it. It absolutely does not. Soggy soil pushes the oxygen out of the root zone, the roots suffocate, disease takes off, and now you've got a shallow-rooted lawn that's going to fold the second the next heat wave rolls through. Let the grass tell you when it needs a drink. Walk across it and turn around. If your footprints are still pressed flat in the blades instead of springing back up, the grass is starting to wilt. You'll also notice the blades folding in on themselves and going a kind of dull blue-gray color. Once you can read those signs, you'll never panic water again. Honestly, one adjustment to your timer and 1 tuna can test this weekend will fix about 90% of your watering problems for the rest of the summer. Now here's where things usually go sideways. Lawn browns up in a couple spots, homeowner panics, and that panic sends them down one of 2 roads that make everything a whole lot worse. Either they give up on it entirely, or they try to smother it back to health. Let me walk you through both. Assuming brown means dead. That's the most expensive mistake you can make in summer. Cool season grass going dormant is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It pulls all its energy back down into the crown and the roots, and it just sits there and waits for the weather to break. A healthy cool season lawn can ride out 4 to 6 weeks of dormancy without any lasting damage. Your job during that stretch isn't to keep it green, it's just to keep it alive. About 1/2 inch of water every 2 or 3 weeks is plenty to keep the crown going, and the green will come back on its own when September cools things off. The other move is dumping topsoil on the brown patches. Somebody sees dead-looking spots, panics, and spreads a layer of black dirt over them, figuring it'll feed the grass back to life. What that actually does is bury the crown, block the light and the air, and in a lot of cases stop the grass from ever waking up when the weather cools. The plant is still alive under there. Piling dirt on top just suffocates it. Topsoil has a place when you're leveling out low spots or getting an area ready for new seed. It's not first aid for a stressed lawn. All right, third one is treating a stressed lawn like it's still bulletproof. This is the one folks forget every single summer. You've got a big barbecue coming up, so the tables and the coolers go out on the grass. Somebody's brother-in-law parks his trailer on the lawn for the weekend. Kids drag the trampoline out and set it up right on top of a brown patch because, well, nobody was using that spot anyway. Here's the thing though, dormant grass can't heal a crushed crown. It doesn't have the energy for it. And the worst part is you won't even see the damage in July. You'll see it in September, when the rest of the lawn greens back up and those spots just sit there dead. So move the furniture around every week or so, drop some stepping stones down wherever the family cuts through the yard, and keep the party on the patio while things are rough. Brown grass is your lawn being smart. Your job is to leave it alone and let it work. Now let's get into the two big ones with the sprayer and the spreader, because these are the mistakes that take a stressed lawn and finish it off. I'm talking about herbicides and fertilizer, both applied in the heat. Every single summer I run into homeowners out there spraying weeds with a broadleaf killer on a 92-degree afternoon, and it's a disaster in two directions at once. The heat makes the herbicide volatilize. Basically, it lifts off and drifts on the breeze, and it burns whatever grass it lands on right along with the weeds. And on top of that, it barely even works, because the weeds themselves are heat stressed, and they're not growing enough to pull the chemical in. So you scorch your lawn, and the weeds pretty much shrug it off. Read the label on whatever you're using. Almost every jug says right there, do not apply above 85 degrees, and that warning is on there for a reason. Wait for a cooler stretch, ideally an early morning that's still sitting in the 70s. Better yet, just hold off until fall. The weeds aren't going anywhere. You've got until September to deal with them, and honestly, you're going to have a much better time of it once the weather cools down. Then there's fertilizer, and this one wrecks more lawns than anything else I see out there. Cool season grass in the middle of the heat. Somebody's grass is looking rough, they panic, and they run out and grab a bag of high nitrogen fertilizer, figuring they can green it up in a hurry. What actually happens is nitrogen forces rapid leaf growth, so the plant burns through the energy reserves it was saving to get through the summer, and it does it trying to push out new blades it can't even support. You've basically told a dehydrated athlete to sprint. So don't put nitrogen on your fescue, your bluegrass, or your ryegrass once the daytime temperatures are consistently sitting in the 80s. Wait for fall, and I promise the lawn will pay you back for the patience. Warm season grass has its own version of this. A lot of folks assume Bermuda, Zoysia, St. Augustine. Those are heat lovers, so it's fine to feed them whenever. And most of the time that's true, but once you get above around 90 degrees, even those tough grasses start running into burn risk. And a heavy dose of nitrogen in humid heat is basically a buffet for brown patch and pythium. If you're going to feed a warm season lawn in the middle of summer, keep it light. Slow release only. Skip the fast release stuff entirely while it's this hot. And if you really do need to put something down, spoon feed it in small amounts and water it in deep. When your lawn is already stressed, more input is the last thing it wants from you. 9 times out of 10, restraint beats intervention in July. There are a few more mistakes worth knowing about, and one of them is the one I promised at the start. First one is aerating or dethatching in the middle of a heat wave. Both of those tear open the soil surface and rip up crowns, and that's totally fine in the fall when things have cooled off and the lawn is bouncing back. In July, it's brutal. If you've got a rented aerator sitting in the garage right this second, load it back up, take it back, get your money returned, and wait until September when the heat breaks. Next one, trying to seed in the summer. Seed needs steady moisture and moderate soil temperatures to germinate, and in July, you're not giving it either. You'll waste the bag 99 times out of 100. Cool season seed goes down late September through the end of October. Warm season goes down in the spring once the soil temperature is holding around 65 consistently. A cheap soil thermometer from the hardware store is honestly one of the best $10 you'll ever spend on your yard. Third, quick one, pests that look like heat damage. Not every brown patch out there came from drought. Grubs, chinch bugs, armyworms, they all do their worst work in the middle and late summer. And at first glance, the damage looks pretty much identical to heat stress. Here's a field test you can run right now. Grab a brown patch and give it a good firm pull. If it lifts up like a piece of carpet with nothing holding it down, you've got grubs underneath. Peel back a square foot of sod right at the edge of the damage and count the little white larvae in there. If you're seeing more than 5 or 6 per square foot, it's time to treat. Beneficial nematodes are a great low toxicity option, and you can put them down with a hose end sprayer this weekend. They're microscopic worms that hunt grubs in the soil and leave everything else alone. Your lawn will tell you what's wrong with it. You just have to know what you're looking at. All right, here's the one idea that ties this whole video together. In hot weather, your lawn is spending every calorie it's got on survival, not on growth. Every mistake I just walked you through does one of 3 things. It forces growth the plant can't afford, it damages the leaf surface that's shading the soil underneath, or it messes with the moisture cycle around the roots. That's it. All those mistakes boil down to 3 underlying problems. And honestly, the single most valuable skill in summer lawn care is knowing when to do nothing at all. Water deep and not very often, mow high, and get out of the way. Your lawn is a lot smarter than most folks give it credit for. It survived plenty of summers on its own long before you ever moved into the house. The best thing you can do in August is stop trying to fix problems the plant is already handling. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to bring a heat-stressed lawn back to life the second the weather starts breaking in September. Thanks a lot for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. What are you currently doing with your lawn? And remember to hit that subscribe button while you are here for more tips on getting the lawn you deserve. Have a good day, and I will see you soon.